All right, all right. We are live with Investor Thrive. We got my man over here, Francis. And Francis, I don't think I've ever even tried to say your last name, man. How do you say your last name?
Iguilo.
Iguila. Okay, that wasn't hard. I mean,
Yeah, really
it's
too
just
easy.
yeah, that was easy, bro. No problem. So let me actually check. I always like to check the audio of things before I start getting into it. Okay, we got the audio working. It's all good. Yeah, man. So welcome. Thanks for coming on the Investor Thrive podcast. We just did a deal together, man, and I know you're out there doing big things. So what we wanted to talk today, and this is the Investor Thrive Sales Mastery podcast, where we talk about how sales is integrated, how it's affiliated with wholesaling and real estate investing. So,
Yes,
man,
sir.
thanks again for coming in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. I mean, I've watched you for a long time.
Yeah,
Uh,
bro. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And so let's kind of just dive right into it, man. I mean, people might not know who you are. Some people might not know who I am, that watch this, but let's kind of find out about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little background so people that are watching this can get to know you.
right, right. So my name is Francis Iguilo. I
Mhm.
am originally Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria. I actually didn't leave Nigeria until I was 20 years old. So say about a good 9 years ago now.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so I used to live in New York for the best part of 8 years, and I just moved out to Atlanta, Georgia, which is where I'm at now. I moved out here in the summer of last year. Yes, I mean that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
So New York. Okay, so you're in New York and you said you moved into Atlanta from the summer of last year.
2021.
What made you move?
So that's a very good question. So I started wholesaling in New York City. You
Mhm.
know, I and which was kind of a bad idea, but that's also why I am who I am today.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I started wholesaling in 2015, and just New York being an attorney state, wholesaling is not as easy out there as it is in other parts of the country. Now,
Yeah.
being in New York, I didn't realize that because I thought that's how everyone was having it. But you
Right.
see, so I mean, I started wholesaling towards the end of 2015 December, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't get my first deal until 2019.
Hold on, hold on. Let's say
Yeah.
that again. You got to say that again.
I started wholesaling in 2015 November,
Okay.
and I got my first deal in September 2019,
So you telling me you did this for 4 years and you didn't give up?
and I didn't make a dime, $0,
Wow,
zero
bro.
dollars,
That's
$0.
amazing. How did you not I mean, how did you not give up? I mean, I'm sure tons of people would have been like, "Oh man, this doesn't work." How did you
Yeah,
keep
he
going?
just didn't. So for me, it didn't make any sense to me, right? It's because
Mhm.
I will do everything I thought I was supposed to be doing. I mean, albeit maybe I wasn't doing it the right way, right? I'll
Mhm.
do everything I thought I was supposed to be doing, and then it just wasn't working out. But then I'll come on the internet and I see guys, I see Carlos Reyes, I see Max Maxwell,
Mhm.
I see
Mhm.
all these cats. Like either these people are lying to me about something, or I'm just not doing enough,
Okay.
right? And now, so you know how there's this saying that if you want to fix the world, you try to fix the man,
Mhm.
right? I can't fix the world. I can't fix what kind of information these guys are putting out there, but I can fix myself. So let me
Okay.
focus on me. Let me try to do better. Let me try to be better. Let me try to grind some more, make some more calls, throw some more money at marketing. So
Okay.
all these 3 4 years was just self development and just okay, I can do better. I can make better calls. I can make better offers. I can grind for longer. Things like that. And so I didn't realize it had taken that long. But I'll tell you this much: it was a very, very painful journey for sure. It was.
Dang. Yeah, man. I'm so proud of you for continuing to go through that. A lot of people, they don't get their first deal for a couple months and they give up, right?
Yeah, it took me. So what had happened was, so the whole time, right? I couldn't work a regular job and do wholesaling because it just wasn't working for me.
Mhm.
So I stopped working and I became a full-time Uber driver. And I would drive like 16, 18-hour shifts to be
Dang.
able to make enough money to send out mailers at the time because that's what I was doing.
Wow.
I hired. I mean, I can call people's names here because I mean, they were helpful
Mhm.
to my journey. I hired Cody Sperber at the time as a mentor.
Mhm.
I think that mentorship cost me about $8,000, $9,000. You know how many hours you get to drive as an Uber driver? how many hours you got to drive to save that much money?
4 years, bro.
That's what I'm saying. And then I had to hire what's his name, Tan Merrill, as a
Mhm.
mentor to teach me the business. And it was like a third mentorship really that I had to pay for.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find my way, right? But the one sick, but then the one missing piece that I didn't realize was the fact that I was in New York freaking city. That was the problem,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
So it took me sometime in 2019. I think it was February. I mean, I was just resilient. So I
Hmm.
go to this event in I think it was in Austin. It might have been in no, it was either Austin or the other one. It was in Texas somewhere. It was James Huck and what's his name? Josh Gaiman put it together.
Okay.
Josh Gaiman and James Huck put that event together. And I met this guy that was like, hey, you need to go virtual. You need to get out of New York City.
Get out of there.
That was what he told me. He's like, well, if you can't move, you need to get out of there. So start doing something that's virtual. And
Right.
then to me, it was just like this crazy idea. Like I'm struggling in my backyard. You trying to tell me to go someone else's backyard and go get deals. But
Right.
anyway, long story short, he puts me onto $5 Craigslist ads, the
Wow.
paid ones. He
Hmm.
put me onto them and he told me, hey, here's my template. Just use the exact same thing and post, $5 like twice every week, just so you're on top.
Okay.
And I started doing that in August. And then 3 months later, I got that first deal off of a
Wow.
$5 Craigslist ad.
The real question is, you still do the Craigslist ads?
Still do 'em. I still do them. I
That's
still do
awesome,
them
man.
till today. I still
I've
do.
never heard of someone doing that. I've been doing this a long time, and I never heard of someone marketing through the Craigslist ads. Wow.
Yeah, $5. I mean, so what I do is I take like 20 different cities and I
Mhm.
just spend $100. It's time consuming.
Right.
I told myself I'm going to spend $200 on Craigslist ads a month, and I just pick 20 cities and I just post in there. I mean, you never know.
What kind of ads are they? Are they like, hey, I'll buy houses for cash ad, or
Do you have access to Craigslist really quick?
yeah, I have Craigslist. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just pretty much it's like we buy houses, cash. It's a lot of ads like that on Craigslist.
Yeah, I've
You
seen
be
a lot of them.
surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty much those, but then it's in the paid section. So a lot of people don't have $5. That's funny.
Yeah, bro. I've never thought about doing that. So I mean, I'm sure the return on your investment is huge on Craigslist because
It's,
it's not that expensive.
it's like 1,000x easy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so when you say you do pay per click as well, though, right? So
Yeah,
you're
that's
not just
all I do.
okay.
Yeah,
You're
that's
not
all.
relying just solely on the Craigslist for
No,
to.
I just do Craigslist just because I mean, that was literally my desire, and it's just I just feel like I'll be I'll be ignorant to not do it anymore because I know it
Yeah,
still works.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, but it doesn't keep like it doesn't generate like tons of deals, right? It just does maybe
Yeah,
a couple a year.
yeah, maybe a couple of years. That's
Okay,
right
but it's
about it.
worth it because then the return on ad spend is
Yeah,
totally there. Okay.
yeah.
And you say it's time consuming. So you have a VA doing it, or do you do it, or how does that work?
I do it myself now because I just don't see that as enough work for a VA.
Got it.
It's time consuming for me to do it. It takes me about an hour or two to do it, but it's not enough work to keep a VA busy as of
Yeah.
right now.
I love it. I love it, man. I think that's awesome. So you were in a situation in New York. You had to get out of there. So you could have just stayed in New York and wholesaled virtually in Atlanta. Why did you move? Just because you wanted to be in the backyard? Back?
Good question. So that's a good question. So the real story with New York was because it was an attorney state. So last week I actually did a deal in New York,
Oh, cool.
and then so what the way New York works is the contracts we used to wholesale ideally, like the whole 2-page contract things,
Mhm.
you give that to a New York attorney, he's gonna rip that thing in half.
I
That's
know,
all he
man.
does.
I've done deals in New York too. They're just like, what? They're like, what is this thing?
What is it? So that's the first part. The second part is they have this 10% down payment that is that's a prerequisite. You have to put down 10%. There's nothing like $1,000 EMD or some bullshit $5,000. And
Right.
then you're in New York City. These houses are starting from 500,000 and up.
Right.
So you're telling me, Uber driver, to put down 50 grand on a house I don't even know I can move. Where am I gonna find that? Number one,
Hey, bro,
right?
let me tell you something really quick. The people in New York are cutthroat, bro. I've talked to a lot of the buyers out there, dude. They are some cutthroat dudes. I mean, no, there's no hate or anything. I love these type of people, but they're most of them, the investors I talked to were Jewish,
Yeah.
and they were like freaking savvy, bro. They were like
Ooh.
no BS. They were like, hey, bro, yeah, I ain't got no time for you unless you. they were
Right, right.
they were Italian or Jewish. I don't know if you experienced that, but that's who I
Yeah,
talked to.
so when I started realizing that I couldn't get things on the contract because I didn't have the down payment, what
Mhm.
I did was I started working for the Jews in New York. So I literally would go to appointments with them because they were the money bags and I was the deal finder. So
Bro, that was it.
so that was it. So that was how I started, really, to be honest. Like 1 year deep, I realized I can't do this myself. So I became a bird dog for them,
Yep.
literally. And so what I'll do is when I find a deal, I'll bring it to them and then they'll tell me, well, this is how much we can pay you. And
Right.
those numbers I'm telling you, like those guys were happy to pay me 75, 80,000 on the deal back then.
Bro, they
But
don't care, dude. If it's a deal,
yeah,
it's
numbers make sense. It just makes sense. They don't, they wouldn't care, right?
right.
But the biggest problems I had was I was lucky we're getting things under contract. New York is the one state in the country where you can have escrow for a year and a half and it still hasn't closed.
That's crazy, man. And
New
especially
York,
when COVID hit there, bro, things were taking forever.
right? New York is the one state, so it was just, bro. It was just you're going to bed thinking, well, I got a $70,000 deal in the works, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna close one day and things are gonna get better, and then it's 6 months later, and then the buyer's telling you, hey, I need my earnest money back because I got I've had $40,000 sitting in the attorney's office for the past 6 months. I just got to, I got to move on.
Yep.
Your buyer walks away. What are you going to do as the wholesaler? You can try to resuscitate the deal, but it's taking 6 months. It still hasn't closed. So I'm just going to move on and look for the next one.
Dude,
Right.
that's crazy. Yeah.
That's why it was so frustrating because the timelines were so long, only to end in disappointment. And then you got to start the whole cycle over and over and over and over again. And then you go on Instagram and it's like freaking Carlos Reyes is telling you how they're doing 30 something deals a month. Bro, can I hold one of those? Just one?
Yeah.
Right?
For real.
It's exactly how I was feeling back then.
Yeah, man. So that's why you're like, I'm out of here. Is that why?
And then so why I moved out, the first deal I did in 2019 from Craigslist ads was actually in Atlanta.
Oh, that's why you're like, man, that's the promised
Yeah.
land.
That's exactly what I said to myself. So I don't know if I told you, but I'm also military. I'm in the reserves.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were gone for like a 6 month training in Germany at one time. And then I got back in the summer of 21.
Oh,
So when I came back in the summer of 21, to be honest with you, I was without the lease because my lease was up at the time. So once I came back, it was like I needed to find a new apartment in New York, or the alternative was to just get out of New York.
okay.
And say, you know what, let's just go somewhere else now.
Let's get it. I love it. And I told you I was raised in Atlanta in Marietta, Roswell, Georgia. So it's a great state, man. It's awesome out there. Tons of deals too, you know.
A lot.
So that's awesome, man. I think that's a great story. And honestly, we might know some of the same buyers in New York. I'm sure there's some big players that I talk to that maybe you guys know. And there's some funny dudes. Man, no BS out there. They're just like, dude, show me some money. I ain't got time for you unless you got a deal. Yeah, those guys.
Yeah, they're very interesting people.
For sure.
I love it.
Yeah, man, they're cutthroat. I had one deal and I was like, I don't know, man. I only have a couple, like I only have a day left of, what's it called? Like due diligence. And he's like, dude, I'm sending the money right now to the title company. Like it's already there. Like, I couldn't say no to him. Like he was like, no, it's already there. Money's already there. You know what I'm saying? Like some that get it.
They're hustlers, man, out there. Like,
great. Those, when I think about good salesmen, I'm like, man, those guys they're just so aggressive, naturally aggressive, and like they assume everything, like assume the sale, assume like that you're gonna do with them. It's something I've never felt before because I'm the kind of sales guy who like I'll present the option, I'll like let people make the decision, I make sure you feel comfortable, I ask you how you're feeling, but they're like boom, just like pushing you like the Jordan Belfort style.
Absolutely.
It's
that's
great.
like Italian, Russian influence right there.
Dude, crazy. So let's talk about this deal that just happened. So we so there's a $25,000 fee, right? And we kind of want to break it down. So kind of tell me how you guys work that deal on this wholesale deal.
Okay, so on our side, so actually, the guy that the acquisitions agent that took the deal down is no longer with us.
Oh, okay. What
So,
happened?
um, I mean, just not meeting the standards for me. It's one
Hey,
thing
man.
to get, it's one thing to get deals. I mean, to be honest with you, wholesaling is not that hard. Anybody can get deals.
Right, right.
You have a hot lead in front of you, anybody can close them.
You just got to put in the work. So if he's not making his conversations or his calls or hitting his offers, it ain't worth keeping him, right?
Yeah, and then bad office, bad office etiquette. You know what I'm saying? Like, just what I'm saying. He just wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't working, and he would talk back at me too, which is fine. Yeah.
That. Oh man, that ain't fine, right? Because like unless you have to have respect too in the office environment too.
Yeah, I mean, because I wouldn't, I mean, and he was an older guy too, so I guess that was the challenge.
Right. Maybe felt like, hey, maybe he had more experience, something like that.
That part. But anyway, he was no longer with us. But then he locked it up, and then he left literally maybe a day or two after. Not left, so he got fired a day or two after.
Okay.
And so we got the deal at 240,000. We thought the ARV at the time was somewhere around 320. That's what we were looking at. But then the house was in excellent condition. So I looked at the numbers and I went, well, if we can take this house down at 240 with hard money, and after costs and fees, we're all in at like 270, 275. That's looking like a good $40,000-$50,000.
Yeah, for
deal
sure.
right there. That's what it was looking like. And then, so what happened was I brought my hard money guy in, and obviously because it was going to be a bridge loan, bridge loans being that there was no rehab budget, right? Because it was going to be a bridge loan, the hard money guy was going to come in at 80% LTV, right?
Right.
Or loan to contract price. So 80% LTV put them at about 190 thereabouts. That we're going to bring to closing, which meant I had to come out of pocket 53,000.
Right.
And so for me, that was the first challenge, right?
Yeah, that's a lot to put down, for sure. Especially if you're doing other deals, and right now, bro, it's the market. I'm straight with everybody. The market right now is it's hard to know what's going on. Interest rates are going up. I have 3 deals right now that I flipped. They ain't selling. And most people are probably like worried. I'd look at it as like, dude, I just got to make more money, But yeah, so I'm assuming when you had to bring that much and you also saw the markets cooling off, you're probably
right. And then around that same time, I had 3 flips here in Atlanta, which I had bought in July, that I literally paid for them, and I put it back on the market because I was like, I'm not doing any flips at this point. So it was like I had experienced that, put down like $40,000-$50,000 on like 3 houses, and then sold them quickly because I didn't know what was coming, right? And then now you're asking me to come out of pocket 53,000. So I go, well, okay, you know what? If that's my only option, we're gonna do it. We have the resources to be able to do that. And so that was when I started reaching out to people. Hey, look, do you think we can move this deal off market? Maybe. Or do you think I can find? I think why I reached out to you was, do you think a private investor, like a private lender, that's happy to be in second position? Because for me, to fund the down payment, right? Because for me, the hard money guy has to stay in first position because he's coming in at 80%. Right. So anyone that's coming in at 20% has to be in second position. But everybody, me and you, knows is not going to stay in second position.
Of course.
On any for the most part. Everybody would like to be first. So that was when we started talking about the deal. And then you told me, hey, it looks like I may have somebody for this deal, right?
Right. And I actually pitched the guy that I knew if he wanted to, first I was like, hey, do you want to do the down? Do you want to be in second position? And he was like, yeah, I mean, I'd possibly be open to doing it, but he wanted a bigger split, right? Of of
50,
the fee, right? 50-50, which at that point it's like, man, just give me my fee, right? Why would I wait? So yeah, and the way that the market is going here in Utah is most investors are looking at ARV, current ARV, and they're saying, okay, 15% minus that, because they believe that in 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, that's where it's going. They believe it's trending down, right? So that's kind of honestly what I think too is where it's going, like here, at least here in Utah. So when I told you, hey man, I don't know if you want to hold on to that, but I know somebody that will take that risk and bring that money. So that's how we work together. And this is what I tell people, Francis, and I would teach this to your team, and I'm sure you already teach it, but I do what's called reverse wholesaling, but I dubbed it as calling it like I call it painless wholesaling strategy, because sometimes being a wholesaler and doing it the traditional way of first finding the deal, then sending it out to find a buyer, that can be kind of painful sometimes. That's why I call it painless, because as we've done nationwide, you get a deal. You sometimes don't know if it's a deal. Like you'll run the numbers and you're like, dude, this makes sense on paper. Everything makes sense. And then you'll send it out and nobody will want it. And you'll be like, what the heck? This is a deal. I thought it was a deal. So the way I do it, I've actually trimmed my team down like super small, because I've trimmed down the expenses, the marketing budget and everything, because right now the market's shifting and I didn't want to spend a ton of money on marketing to keep going out, paying for everybody. I basically just down to myself for now, right? And just because of the market shift. And I just look at deals that come into my box, my email from other wholesalers. I look at MLS deals and I do specific areas marketing, like a little bit. And I just bring them to buyers I know that are buying still. And it's reverse wholesaling, but I call it painless wholesaling, because a deal, for example, 2 days ago came across. I saw someone was looking for a buyer in American Fork, and I know someone that buys out there all the time. So I said, hey, I got a buyer. I know you're kind of new. You probably don't know many people, but I got a guy that will buy right now. So he walked it, and right now, he's offered us more than what they have it under contract for. We're just negotiating, and it cost me $0. It cost me literally no time, like a couple hours. And I think it's just way easier. I know you have a team, and that's good. If you have the team and you like to, do more deals and all that stuff, that's cool. But for me, I just have to worry about me making 10, 20, 15K, 30K a month with little expenses. And I'm good now because I'm running Investor Thrive. I don't have to run like some giant operation, because that's expensive.
And that makes a ton of sense. I mean, isn't that how Jamil is making a fortune off of Keegley?
Bro, that's all Jamil does, right? I think that's astro flipping. I think that's what they do.
Yeah.
But the difference with me and what they do is, like, I actually like get super tight with my guys. Like, instead of blasting it out to an email list and like hoping someone will open it up, I just call my top guys and they have an answer for me either on the phone or in a couple hours, so I don't have to wait.
Fair enough. And then that makes absolute sense, because without you, I probably would have been $53,000 short of money. But then let's get to the juicy part, right, of the deal.
Yeah.
Of how, so you take the deal to your buyer. He wants to be, we're pitching it to him as a private lender, to fund the down payment. And then he looks at it and he goes, well, I'll take this at what, 265?
I think he's at 265 to begin with.
Yeah, but then he was at 259, remember?
Yeah.
He came in at 259. We're trying to push him to come to 265.
That's right. You wanted 265. He had 259. So that's where he was. Yeah. So I said, hey, this is what he has without my fee. This is what, this is what he's going to do.
Right. And then you needed to get paid. I had the guy that I got fired, I had to pay him. The acquisitions agent that picked up the file after he left, I had to pay him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like, well, I have to pay too many people, and then I got to get paid a little bit myself.
Yeah, you got to make money too.
And then you got to get paid. So it's like, well, 19,000 is not a lot of money for four of us to split amongst ourselves. So we tried to push him to give us more, but he ended up coming back and saying he was at 267.
No, he actually came down. He was at 259. He said, hey, I've got to do 255. That's the best I can do.
Right. So he came down to 255 after walking the property, right?
Yep.
Came up to 255. Okay, bet. And then you suggested something to me. And you said, well, here's what we can do, right? Why don't we see if we can get the seller down a little bit, right?
Right. Because the interest rate, right? I was like, hey, look, everybody knows in Utah things aren't selling as fast as they were.
Right. So what I did was I called my acquisitions guy. I was like, hey, call the seller. Tell her we got to be at 220. Tell her interest rate just jumped up 1%, actually 1.5% over the past week or so. And we're having a hard time, sourcing the funds to get this deal done at
Right.
240. Right. So he calls her and then he anchors her at 220.
Got to.
And then they go back and forth for a little bit. And then she's like, 225. All right, let's get it done.
Bro, the anchor is money. And for people that
Right.
don't know what the anchor is, when you have a seller on the phone, you don't go there and you tell them the target price that you want. You go lower
Right.
than that. So when you
Right.
negotiate, you actually come up, they feel like they won, right? Because if you say 230 and she says yes, then she might in the back of her head been like, man, maybe I could have gotten a better deal. But
Right.
it's the right way to do
So
it.
yeah, so we anchored the 220. The goal was to get her down just 10,
Mm-hmm.
just so that everybody could have a decent payday. And so she came back at 225. I'm like, great deal regardless. Then you have another. So then you tell me, hey, I have another guy that can actually come in and take a look at the house.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The second guy comes in, and I think his offer comes in at 265. Right.
Yeah. So that one was actually 260. He came in at the offer higher than the original offer.
Right, gotcha. So he came in at 260, and then pretty much from the time this gentleman came in to the time he closed was probably like a week, right? Maybe.
Yeah, he was quick.
Yeah, he was quick. The title company was quick too.
Yeah, well, remember you had that title company that you were working with, and we had to switch it to the one that I'm really cool with.
Yeah, because they wanted the seller to sign the assignment fee.
What's up with that, bro? That was stupid.
Where in what country does that happen?
and she's like, sorry, and we're like, see ya.
Right, your loss.
Yeah, exactly. So that was sweet. So we switched title companies quickly. My title company, shout out GT Title. They're awesome. They got it done quick. But yeah, man, that was a good deal. And this is the reason why we're talking about this, everyone, is it's not always just like you get the house and you sign it and it's over and it's easy. Like sometimes you got to jump through some hoops. That's just how it is.
Mickey Carter, yeah, it is a crazy business for sure. I mean, we so as a company right now, we're probably doing anywhere between 18 and 20 contracts a month as a company. But then of the 18 to 20, maybe only about 9 or 10 will end up closing.
That's usually how it is, right? It's about 10, it's about 50%.
It's like the other half you're dealing with angry sellers, like, why are you not buying my house? Why are you backing out?
Mm-hmm.
Or some of them it's just you get to the closing table and the seller's disappeared. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always something.
Yeah.
Like we're sitting here talking about this one deal that went through, but I'm sure between me and you, there's probably 8 to 10 transactions that have gone south just this week alone by itself. You know what I'm saying? So
it's crazy, bro. That's literally title companies, all the issues that happen. I'm at sellers, but yeah, but one thing that has helped me as an acquisition guy, and I'm sure it'll help you, is if you can have somebody. This is kind of the iffy part if you have a team. Like if you can have your acquisitions guys get tight with specific people in areas so they can just ask them what they'll pay, that gives them a really good idea of like what they need to get the house under contract. The only downside is if you have a team, then they can develop that relationship and just take off on you, right? That's kind of the downside. But if they don't know how to do the marketing, produce leads, then it's not a big deal. But that's why I was able to do so many deals when I was doing the majority of my acquisition work back in the days. I knew like I could just ask someone I was tight with, and they would just tell me what they'd pay, and I would get under contract. And if I felt like I could get more, I would still blast it out, but I would use a buyer to gauge the price, because especially with nationwide, it's kind of hard to know where to pay, even if you know how to run comps.
Yeah, it's impossible. I mean, we're still so we were just nationwide, right?
Yeah,
we're just nationwide, like getting leads in the middle of nowhere.
Terrible idea, by the way, for everybody.
And then I scaled it back. I met with this guy that's actually figured out, some kind of I don't call it the secret sauce. And then he gave me a list that he uses that actually. So this guy is doing anywhere. I think he's doing about $1.5 million a month nationwide.
Who is it?
Forrest.
Blackburn.
Yeah.
So he does Tarek El Moussa stuff, right?
Yeah. So I know he used to work with this guy that had a TV show.
Tarek, right?
Yeah. So he actually gave me a personalized list that he uses.
Sweet.
Of like Yeah, he gave it to me. I mean, obviously, he cost an arm and a leg,
I'm dead, bro. God.
right? So he gave me that, and once I started doing that, that's when everything changed for me because I was no longer getting deals in the middle, leads in the middle of nowhere.
Dude, it's almost impossible. Like, and you spend so much time trying to dispo it. It's just a waste of time.
I know. And then at that time when we're doing everything was going on the market, we're just everything was innovation, everything wasn't. We had to get power returns on almost every single house. I was like, this is stressful, man. This is not the business I signed up for.
For sure.
But
Well,
yeah,
dang.
I'm happy to share that list with you if you think it's something you need for sure.
With me?
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Brother, yeah, like send me that list. I'd love to take a look at it, man. And
Yeah.
honestly, I'd love to work with you more, whether you have deals here or if I have deals that you can help me with. So let's kind of, for the viewers that are out here that want to reach out to you and work with you, what can you help out the Investor Thrive Nation, anybody out with it? I know you do deals nationwide, but where do you specifically work? Maybe if they bring you something, they can hit you up.
So I think I'm pretty good with New York for the most part. I mean, that was my stomping ground for 4 years when I was literally. I mean, I can just like you. I could be on the phone with a seller right now in New York, and then I text my buyer, hey, would you pay X amount of dollars?
Perfect.
Right. So it's New York. I'm here in Atlanta. I mean, I have a lot of flips going on here, so I'm probably your buyer out here for the most part. But I also know other players out here. So
Awesome.
So I mean, those are my primary markets. Everywhere else, I mean, rely on the resources I have. So I use investor lift to dispo.
Okay.
For the most part, and then it really has changed a lot for me.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I had it in the very beginning when it was like the prototype. I was on cartel mode, but honestly, for us, because we were mainly nationwide, and I mean nationwide, we're getting crappy leads. I got it, and I thought it was gonna help us dispo bad areas, right? But
Right.
it doesn't. It doesn't really
If
help
it's
out.
if it's a bad area, it's not moving. So I had it for a long time, and I literally called John, and I told him, hey, listen, I'm canceling this thing. This thing is not working for me. I'm paying X amount of dollars a month for this. Like, I think it was about $3 or $5 at the time a month for this thing.
Yeah, bro, it was expensive, brother.
And I can't sell anything on this.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Investor Lift's fault. It was just those neighborhoods were just too small. Like there was no buyers over there. So when I got that secret sauce from Forrest, and I started shooting out the deals on Investor Lift, bro, we've assigned about 210,000 just this month on Investor Lift. Literally,
that's amazing. That's amazing.
I can show you my dashboard right now.
That's amazing, bro.
Right?
That's freaking sick.
Yeah.
So that's what changed it for you, is forget all the little trashy areas, the whole nationwide, specifically target good markets, and then you use Investor Lift to help you dispo.
Right? Literally, that's it. Like if I hadn't met Forrest, and he gave me that list he gave me, and I didn't have Investor Lift, I'll probably just be crying somewhere right now.
Yeah, so let me kind of tell you about my experience. So Nick Perry came on a podcast with Real Estate Disruptors, and he was talking about nationwide wholesaling. So I was like, that is the key, because I'm in Utah, kind of similar to New York. Obviously, it's a lot harder, but ours is, it's pretty difficult to get a deal, right? So I saw Nick Perry's podcast, and he was talking about nationwide, and I was like, dude, I need to reach out to that guy. He's doing it right. So we reached out to him. This is before he coached, and he basically showed us his Google campaign, how to target nationwide. And he was doing well, at the time. I don't know what he's doing now, but I just literally copied his campaign, did the whole thing, started getting leads everywhere, and I was brand new to this. So, I always thought I was getting tons of deals because every seller wanted to sell in these random areas. So I got like 40 contracts, had to cancel them all. So yeah, it was crazy. So I got Investor Lift because they said that would help me.
Yeah.
It didn't help. And then, I was just like, forget this, dude. But it sounds like you cracked the code. You need specific areas, and then you can use Investor Lift to help you dispo in those good areas. And to be honest, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I promise you that's also, I don't know if you noticed this, but yeah, I'm in Nick's group, right? Yeah. So I know exactly what he does, right? I mean, I was in his office, just a while back, and then they're doing some pretty good numbers up there, right?
Are they still doing the whole nationwide thing?
No, but he doesn't do it. I mean, he would tell you that he's doing it, But then you'd have to be, I mean, which is what I would say too. I'm nationwide, but it will take us to be close enough for me to share with you exactly how we're going nationwide.
Okay, gotcha. But it's no longer like, I know, because I ran so many, I spent thousands and thousands.
Nah, you're gonna end up wasting your money.
Yeah,
you're gonna end up wasting your money.
And by the way, Sean Terry, he kind of still runs it that way, bro. Like, I don't know. I was in Sean Terry's mastermind. I think it's great. I just didn't renew. I joined another one, but he runs it as the whole state, and that only works if you have tons and tons of marketing money.
Number one, and then with Sean Terry, for instance, because I've been seeing him hanging around with Corey Gary, so there is a good chance 90% of his deals are innovation, so they're going on the market. There is a good chance. If you can train your sales team to prep every single seller that they're talking to for innovation, I think that's a business model by itself. Yeah. So you're going into the deal expecting to list that house on the market.
It's not a good if you're a wholesaler and that's your strategy, it's not going to work, because you need cash buyers in those areas that want to buy them and flip them, and there's not a flip market in a lot of these random places.
That is true.
For the innovation, you're right. That makes sense.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, for the innovation, because you can put it on the market and people can come in with like conventional loans and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you've done a couple innovations then, huh?
Oh yeah, a bunch of them. A lot of them.
Man. I've never done one. I just never really pitched it, but it sounds like, from what you're saying, just have to tell why it's beneficial.
Okay, so so it's never ever been, hey, this is an innovation deal, right? It's never ever been that. It's always been, hey, we think we can wholesale this thing. And it's 14, 20 days into the contract. So I was like, when are we closing? And I'm like, can't disappoint this lady.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We can't just leave them hanging. We can cancel the contract right now, because for some reason, I mean deliberately, our contract has an inspection period until the closing day.
Got it.
I know it's not fair, but hey, I got to protect myself some way, right?
Mine's the same way.
Right. So it's like day 20. We don't have a deal. We've tried to sell it to everybody. Nobody wants it, right? So we'll always end up calling the seller and saying, hey, Mr. Seller, here's something we can do here, right? The easier option for us today is to just tell you, hey, you know what? The property doesn't look anything like we expected. It's, our local partners do not think it's a good deal for them to work with us at that price. So the easiest option for us today is to just walk away from this deal. But we don't want to do that to you. Here's what we can do for you. We can take this property, put it on the market for you, right? Obviously, it's going to need some repairs, right? We don't know what those repairs are going to be. We don't know what the buyer wants. We don't know what the buyer wants the end product to look like. So what we're going to do is put it on the market, have the buyers give us the feedback on what they want fixed up, and then we can fix it up at that point or give them credit towards it. Because the way I'm going to want my kitchen is not the same way the next guy's going to want his kitchen. So what's the point of doing it my way? Wanting to put it on the market and then nobody wants it. Yeah. So we kind of pitch them to put it on the market for them and then wait for the buyers to give us feedback towards fixing it up. So that's how we always get them to be like, okay, cool, yeah, throw it on the market.
Do you usually need to ask for a longer closing period? Do you need to say, hey, I'm going to send you addendum, so this might take a couple, like maybe 30 more days, or how does that work?
So we send them an addendum, and then for the closing date, we just put to be determined.
Oh, okay, got it. That's better.
Put it to be determined, but then we let them know, hey, it's going to be at least another 30 to 45 days at the bare minimum.
Got it.
So, if it's a seller that's not pressed, they're fine with it. And something I've also done over time has always been, hey, I can give you a cash advance of like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 up front.
That's good. That probably motivates them to do it too.
Just get some money up front, whatever you got to take care of that's pressing to you right now. And then sometimes I'll see if there's a mortgage on the house, I'll take over the payments until this house sells. So just whatever makes it easier for them, so that when they see you making 20, 25, 30,000 at the end of when it's time to sell, they don't care.
Do you usually prep them for that too, or is it just you don't really talk about it until the end when there's a fee?
Oh no, we let them know that. We let them know that. I mean, so we tell them, hey, our guarantee to you is you're going to get. So I actually closed one today, right? And that one we agreed to $112,500.
Okay.
we put it on the market at 170,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't sell. We were only able to sell at 135.
Okay.
But then the whole time the seller saw it on the market at 170. They knew it was on the market for 170, and they knew they were only getting 112. But we also told them, hey, we're gonna put some work into this house. We don't have a dollar figure just yet. Obviously, we're not a non-profit, so we got to make some money.
Yeah. Did you have to put work into that one?
Cleaning cost about $3,000 between just hauling stuff out, clean the carpet, It wasn't little bits of work, but it was definitely not $40,000 worth of work.
So you said 135 is what you sold it for?
Yeah.
And then you have the buyer's commission, I'm assuming 3%.
Yes, it was 6% for the agents.
Really?
And
6%. Oh, did you not use a flat fee listing service? You used
no, we didn't use a flat fee listing because the house was dirty on the inside. I needed somebody to manage, the cleaning out and stuff like that. So what we ended up doing was we had to drop the seller from 112.5 to 105.
Got it.
And so at the end of the day, we made 12,500, but we couldn't do innovation there because the seller was a power of attorney for her mom. So we were a power of attorney over a power of attorney.
It doesn't work, right?
Right. So what we had to do was we had to prepare an invoice.
At close?
Yeah, an invoice. I sent it over to the title company. Hey, this company is owed X amount of dollars for 75 hours worth of work. And so that's how they paid us, was off of an invoice.
I like that. And do
Right.
you usually file when you do novations? Do you file what's it called? A memorandum? Do you do that too?
So to be honest with you, we should, but just depending on the sellers. Sometimes we don't. I know most companies always do it. Some sellers it's easier to work with, right? If it's a seller that you think is gonna snake you, I'll file one.
Okay, but you don't. It's not like a written rule that you do every time you do one.
It should be, but it's not so far.
Okay.
Not yet.
Well, man, hey, I've learned a ton from you because, you got some good stuff going on, and kind of like what I got going on Investor Thrive is, I basically teach people how to do the painless wholesaling method. I focus on sales, but you got a great operation that you still got going. And I think that's sick. And I'm going to definitely implement a lot of what you said. That's awesome, man. I've learned
absolutely. I mean, whatever it is, I don't think I know enough just yet, but I think I have some resources that maybe I paid for, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to shoot them your way. If we can just keep it within the family, like right there.
Of course.
We don't want it to be public information. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. And I got resources too, that if you ever need anything, hit me up. And if anyone's watching this, this is what it's all about. It's all about the brotherhood. It's about helping each other grow. That's why I do this podcast. That's why I do Investor Dive. I obviously want to give back, right? Because, we've received a lot from other mentors, other people who have made content. So, we're in the trenches, we're doing it. And that's why I do this, is because, we're doing it, right? I'm not just sitting here just acting or thinking about it, right? Like, this is good info you're giving out. This is awesome,
Yes,
so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And then if anyone listening to this wants to reach out about anything, listen, I'm more than happy to. Like I said, it took me 4 years to get a deal. If you're struggling to get a deal, if you're looking for the one person you want to talk to, it's me.
Dude, I mean, without a doubt. What's the best way they can reach you, Brandon? I'm gonna put it down here at the bottom.
Okay, so I am on. I got Instagram.
Give them your Instagram. Let's send them to your Instagram. What is it?
It's pretty much my last name with an underscore at the end of it.
Yeah, no one's taking that one, right? Oh gosh. All right, so let's see right here. Okay, I think I can do it right here. Save. Okay, right here at the bottom, scrolling down. You see it at the bottom?
Awesome. It's fantastic. Looks great.
Oh, actually, wait, that might be confusing. People are like, what is that? Is that his Instagram part of it? So let me right, here it is. Live, coming to you live. Doing it live. Okay, there it is. Instagram at @Iguilo_. Yes. Hit my guy up. He's got some great tips, tricks. He's running his own business. If you guys have any deals in New York, on speed dial, he'll find out his buyers. Atlanta,
absolutely.
Also, obviously, if you're in Atlanta, hit him up. I'm sure he's looking for awesome sales guys. Sometimes, always looking to hire. I'm assuming
every day.
Come in there, do some calls, help him out. He's gonna help you out. Is there anything else? Let's leave with one golden nugget. What's one thing you can tell people before we end this that you want to leave everybody with?
Hey, I mean, I guess my mantra in life is, if it's easy, it's not worth it, right?
Yeah.
If it's easy, it's not. If it's easy, it's not worth. It's not worth it. And here's an analogy I want to give everybody. Now, life is not all about money. Like, money is not everything, but money is a driving factor. It's a driving factor. Now, if you wake up every day and you try to figure out how to make $1,000 a day, right? It may take you 10 years, but one day you figure it out, right?
Yeah.
If you wake up every day and you try to figure out how to make $10,000 a day, it may take you 10 years, but one day you figure it out. What I'm trying to say is pick your heart, because it's going to be hard regardless, whether you're going for $100 a day or $10,000 a day.
I mean, you might as well go high, right?
Might as well just go for it. And then that's just not, it's just not with money, it's also with like personal development and, personal growth. And if you're trying to work on your brand or trying to get in shape, it's not going to be easy. You know what I'm saying? So that's just, we're just going to try to get better every single day.
Yeah, man, that's what I really respect about having this conversation with you. I didn't really know all the stuff you went through, but you went for 4 years doing this, and it wasn't easy, right? And I don't think I ever tell anyone to come in here and that it's easy, right? It requires effort, requires practice and action. But once you do figure it out, like, you have a skill set that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know how to talk to a seller, get it under contract, sign it, flip it, novation it. That's an awesome skill set to have.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm grateful for the opportunity,
brother. It's just it's crazy.
And I appreciate the opportunity, though, Nathan. Thank you very much. I've watched you grow from. I think sometime about this time last year was when you started your YouTube channel, right?
Bro, that's when I started last year. And when I started too, I was like, dude, I don't know what this is going to amount to, but I'm just going to stay consistent with it. Right. And it's grown over time. Let me tell you this really cool thing before we end. So someone just reached out to me to run an ad on my YouTube channel. Someone's like, hey, can you run an ad? And I just did a video and I shouted them out. So they were like, I'll pay you $500. And I was like, so I've been reading the book, Never Split the Difference. You read it, right? I'm sure most people have. So they said, hey, can you do 500? And in the book, he talks about how to negotiate with people the right way. You basically kind of let them down or say no in a nicer way. So when they said 500, I said, I'm like, I can do more than that. I was like, and this is what the book says. I said, that's a really generous offer, but I'm sorry, that won't work for me. And that's all I said. Because that's what the book says. So just let them down, say it's generous, but no. So right. Then the lady said, well, what can you do it for? And I was like, I didn't give my price. You don't ever want to give your price first. So I said, I don't know. What's the best you can do? So then she said, 750. And I said, no, actually, I think I need, it would, for me to do it, I'd have to be a little bit more. Can you? And then I said, I named my price. I said, can you do 1,000? And she said, okay, let's do it. So I use the same skill sets that we use in this business to negotiate with sellers, to negotiate an ad. Dude, it took me like 20 minutes, 10 minutes to make that video. I made it, I put it out, and they sent me $1,000 check. Like, I mean, look, if this never goes anywhere, I made $1,000 off of an ad. Like, that's cool.
Hell yeah. That's the whole essence of that. I mean, it doesn't get any more passive than that, to be honest.
Bro, I mean, it's awesome. Now that YouTube channel's monetized, I'm making some money off of it. It's not crazy, but this is where it starts, right? You just go for it, and you just do it consistently.
Right, and just think about where you will be in another, 365 days, 12 months from now. You've seen how much growth you've had over the past 12 months. Just think about how much further you could be another 12 months from now.
Bro, in 3 years, me and you probably won't even be wholesaling, bro. We're gonna be doing big buildings in New York and building out development.
Amen. Amen to that.
Someone will be like, hey, you know about wholesaling? Like, yeah, I used to do that, bro.
It's definitely a very good hustle. Yeah, it's definitely a very good hustle. But I mean, unless you're Sean Terry, I don't know how he wakes up every morning and still does it after all these many years.
Bro, I think my man just loves it, and I think it's cool. I think it's a good strategy, but I think most people get into wholesaling because they want to get into apartments, passive income. They want to build the dream life. If you wake up every morning and you're just running a wholesaling company, like nobody really gets into this to run a wholesaling business. They get into it for the passive income, right?
And to get out of it, yeah. If you can build out a pretty solid organization, then you can actually remove yourself from it and just go do something else.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people get into wholesaling too is because the business is set up to find deals, right? So if you can own a wholesaling business and you can cherry pick the good ones and keep them, that's why I originally got into wholesaling, because I was like, hey, I'd like to have the pick of the litter, right? Pick the good, flip the good stuff. So that's why we do what we do, man. But it takes time, effort, and you just go for it.
Absolutely, man.
All right. Well, we'll have to bring you back, man. We'll have to bring you back in a year or 6 months and just be like, all right, where you at now? We got to just check in on each other.
Let's do it for sure.
Okay, well, hey, we're good. We're going to end right here. But yeah, man, send me that list, text it to me, email it to me, whatever, and let's keep in touch. Let's help each other out. And everybody, again, hit up Francis on Instagram and, let's grow together, all right?
Absolutely. Appreciate you for having me, Nathan. Good looks.
Right. Hey, by the way, we got some fans out here saying, will this be available for replay? Got here late. Tony, it's going to be here for replay, all right? You can find it on the YouTube channel. You can find it on all the stuff we do. And hit up Francis. He's a great contact to have.
Absolutely, man.
All right. Later, brother.
All right, Nathan. You have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too, man. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.